Let me stop there. And Ken, is there anything that I might have missed in a, you know, ZD 101 type of talk? Let's go back to the docs and see what it says. Covered policies, covered services, identities. We kind of covered clients. So we kind of talked about tunnelers versus
Yeah.
SDK.
So
Kind
we
of.
covered it all, but like we covered the high level points, but what is the absolute minimum that a software engineer needs to know and do, assuming that they know they want zero trust for their app. They're interested in this proposition that we have, which is, hey, you can just put it right inside your app with an SDK. Let's say it's a Go server application, and they want to be able to deploy it anywhere and not worry about the networking around their server app. So, like without necessarily becoming educated about the entire project and all the like the fabric and the edge and the controller and all that, is it possible to bring it into the app and use it in a way like can I follow the quick start to spin up the network and then just see it working if I just
100%.
stay in my IDE?
100%. Particularly, that's one thing I didn't cover, actually. That question sparks a different idea, which is just after this part on the landing page is this part, which shows you how to get started with an SDK. So uh, I have a network. What's next? This is exactly what Ken is asking right here. I don't know if you read the landing page, but what a good tee up. I'll hit it out of the park, my friend. So you can pick one of your SDKs and get started. You know, if you click on the Go one, like Ken was talking about, it'll take you right to a bunch of examples. Without a doubt, the most cumbersome thing for the first timer is going to be creating an identity and then using it. That's going to be
This is what I'm talking about. The
that's going to be
bare
the
minimum
hardest.
that I need to do. So I'm in my IDE. I know how
Yep.
to use Git. I
Yep.
get the source code. I get the example. Now I know what to do to change my code just
Yep.
slightly so that it imports Ziti. And so now I need to run it somewhere. Let's say I ran the quick start on my box and I got the ZAC, the web GUI, up and running. So I'm going to go in there, and what's the bare minimum that I'm going to need to do in order to actually run my modified app after I build it?
Well, that's a really good question. So generally speaking, it is a few commands. Do you want to just do it right now? You want to see how long it takes me?
Sure, I'll
Yeah.
try to keep the outline in my head, and maybe I can post that
Well,
as a comment. Like
here,
step one,
here's what it is.
import the SDK.
Step one, make your overlay network using Express install or
Okay.
using the Docker stuff. All right,
Step one,
that's step
quick
one.
start. Get
Step
the whole thing
step
running.
two, step two, figure out what you want to do. Let's say let's say we're going to simply send some bytes from here over to here and send them back again. That's all we're going to do, right? An
Okay.
echo. We're going to do an echo.
So I've got two pieces of software. Then they need to talk to each other, is what you're saying. That might be
ZD
one. That might be
ZD
what I'm
is
trying to do.
exclusively about talking to something. So
Sure,
there's
sure.
always two pieces. Always. It's never one
Oh,
piece.
okay.
It's
Okay.
always two pieces. And so if you're writing an app and if you're writing an app, there's always a client, there's always a server, right? And so it depends on who you're talking to and what you want to get back. In this case, the easiest example that I always fall back to is I call it the reflex server. It's just an echo server. It's like,
Yep.
hey,
Yep.
I'm going to send you bytes.
You said
You
this.
sent me some bytes, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's that's easy peasy. That's the
Did you
best you
ever
can get.
have the
So
parrot game when you were a kid? Did you have like a? There was this really old.
let's put a pin in this. All right. So
Okay.
hang
Okay.
on one second. So you need two
Go for it.
identities. You need two identities. So
Okay.
you'll have
One
to
for each
run.
side.
That's right. You'll have to run one ZD create for an identity,
Okay.
one ZD create for an identity, and then you will
Okay.
need to make a service ZD create service.
Okay.
Then you'll need then you'll need to make a policy ZD create policy. Let client issue a bind, and then you'll need another policy. Let server listen. So that's what you'll need. Now you could smush those into one policy if you want to get fancy, but like,
Okay.
like for actually, no, you need you'll need both. You need at least a dial and you need a bind policy, because the initiator needs to have the ability of dialing the service. The server needs the ability of listening for a service. Does that make sense?
All
You
right.
can
So
actually you
I
can
run
see
my
all that
network.
with the ZSSH demo.
I run my network. I'm just trying to see if I can possibly compress it into a bite-sized piece. So I run the network with a quick start. I don't need to understand everything about how it works. I know it takes a while. I know it does a whole bunch of PKI magic. Yay. That's great. Then I use Ziti to create two identities because I got to have two, one thing to talk to each other, kind of like client and server, but it's more like peer to peer because we're using an
Right.
overlay.
That's right.
So it doesn't like they're reachable. They're both reachable if you want them to be, according to your policy. Okay, so I've got
That's
two
right.
identities which are like certificates that are unique and very secure. And then I need I think you said a service config or a service that is basically describing their communication and the
That's right.
configuration of
No,
each. Like
no,
if I want to
no.
configure one
You
as a
need a
client, one as a
service.
server.
No. The service doesn't describe their configurations at all. You don't need a so in a SDK app, in a app embedded zero trust situation, you do not need any configuration whatsoever. You simply need a service. So generally, when we talk about tunnelers, we always think about configurations because configs are necessary, but they are not necessary in an application embedded situation. You just need to know the name of the service you want to dial, and that is it.
Okay, so that's like a unique identifier or label for one of the other identities that I want to talk to, or perhaps a set of identities if it's like a load balancing situation.
If it's a load balancing situation, it would probably be you would be dialing the service itself, and we've just gone from the 101 class to the 401 class.
Let's not do that.
Let's not do that. Let's keep it simple, like you said. So initiator, receiver, client, server, however you want to call it.
Okay.
So to give you an example, if you were to go out into GitHub and look at the ZD doc project, I have this cheat sheet that is available out there. It shows you the commands. Now, some of these commands are totally and utterly ancillary and worthless because they're not going to exist right now. But if you're trying to run this over and over again, like I was, you need to delete them. So you can see here, I'm making a service name. I'm going to call it ZSSH service. Here, I'm making a client identity and a server identity. They're just going to be ZSSH service client, ZSSH service server. And then I'm going to use a port number. And I use the port number because the client, actually, I don't even know why does it is used. It's used probably because I made a tunneler based client to be able to work with this as well. But you don't even need that in this case. So you don't even need these configs. You would just need the service and the service policy. So you create your two identities, ZD Edge create identity device or user, whatever, server name, client name, and then you create your service, and then you don't need the configs because I said you don't need them, but whatever, you can keep them or not. Like
That's
you can see,
something
it's
that
only
I
like
had escaped my notice. You're saying that the service configs are irrelevant if both sides are embedded?
100%. Let's just do it. Let's just
Okay.
watch. Let's we're
I
just
didn't
gonna
realize it
do
was
it.
that magical. I didn't realize that the configs were only if you're trying to describe like the on-ramp or off-ramp to the normal IP network from the overlay or to the overlay.
So
I mean, I've done it, but
I've
I just
I have
didn't
started
realize
ZD
that.
controller. I've started ZD router. Okay.
Yeah,
I will oftentimes use this particular cheat sheet because I might forget how to make an identity. But let's do a ZD edge,
that is so
create
cool.
identity,
That's
reflect client, reflect client.jwt. Put it up. What did I screw wrong? User.
is it
Right.
capital
So now
one? Oh, there you go.
no, I got to do the user. Now we'll do server.
Right. You're minting the second identity.
Yep.
So now
So now
these
I've
can
made
talk to
two
each other.
identities. All right.
Okay.
Now I'm going to Ziti Edge create service reflect. Okay. So
Okay.
now that's that. Now I'm going to change to my GitHub
Sounds like a
folder.
placeholder because it's just an entity. It just describes it's a service. It's a placeholder for a communications channel.
All it is. That is exactly all it is. SDK Golang examples. Command. Okay. So inside of here, I have a client and I have a server. This code's already
Yep.
written. So um,
Yep.
get info. That's where you can go get it from. So I'm going to do a go build server. Actually, let's do a go run server. Actually, so 2 seconds. I got to take a step back because this is the main file. So the
You
main
got your
file will,
server app there. You got to associate that with that identity that you created somehow.
yeah. So if I cat main.go here, you can see it does some stuff, but really the key that I want to show is how it looks for the word server. Okay, so here's the server command, here's the client command, and then depending on which you are running, it will either run the server command or the client command, which is what I was looking for. I was looking for that if block. I don't know where that if block is, but you can. Where's the if block? Main, loggers, persistent run, flags, mark, server command. It's because it's a flag. So when you run this main function, you'll have to provide the service name and the identity, and then choose whether you want to run as server or client. So we'll do that. So let's do a go run main.go server. I didn't. I missed 2 steps, Ken. ZD edge enroll reflect. Oh
You could
boy.
argue that that enroll piece is really part of creating the identity. But yeah, I see why
It
it's in a
is, but I
single
forgot it.
step.
So
I'm not going
let's
to
go
detail it in the shortest path
copy
outline.
here, start.jwt to dot. All right, so now I want to do a main. Nope. Move start.jwt dot. I got main, right? Yeah. So now I want a ZD edge enroll reflect client
I'm going to narrate what you're doing so I can
server.
keep it fresh in my head. So we did step number 2, which is create at least 2 IDs, and then we remembered that we needed to go back and do the enroll step on each of those. And what that means is that we are consuming a one-time token that's unique to that identity and generating or installing, if you will, and that identity on a device, because the enroll step entails reading that one-time token, contacting the control plane with a certificate signing request generated from a private key that is local to that device, installed permanently in a specific location, and then getting back a certificate. So it just automates all that MTLS stuff that is everyone would do if it was easier.
Yeah. Now you can see I ran my server and it tells me that service reflect is not found. So far, I have created an identity. I have created 2 identities, enrolled 2 identities, and then created a service, and then run my command. At this point, do you know what I did wrong? I have forgotten something. I made 2 identities.
Mhm.
I enrolled them. I then made a service, and I then tried to use the service.
Do you have, well, you need the edge router policy that allows, do you have an edge router policy that aligns your identity with the service edge router policy of the services? And do the services have a service? It got to meet in the
Let's
middle,
run.
right?
Let's run
Services
Policy
need a
Advisor.
service policy, and the services need a router policies, and the identities need a router policy that
Yep.
meets in the middle.
So let's run Policy Advisor, which is out there. Policy Advisor tells me that the Reflect server does not have access to any services. So
Okay, so you need router policies that meet in the middle, and you need service policies that meet in the middle.
that's right. So I did not grant a service policy for the server. So that
Oh, you
is
because you have like a blanket router policy, so that's not an issue here,
right. So
right?
now I
Okay.
need to make a Ziti Edge create service policy. This
I
is a
guess you could have a blanket service policy if you wanted all of your identities if you wanted your
do
network
it.
itself to be like
Let's do it.
a simple service policy. If you didn't need to get more granular than that, if your network only does one thing, then you could use a blanket
Or if you're just
policy.
doing for dev, right? So
Sure.
let's see. Didn't give it a name. All bind.
Create service policy. So you're going to allow any
Let
identity
me
to
scroll up
bind
here.
any service.
Exactly.
Does the identity still have to decide to bind it, or is it going to
Yes.
automatically bind?
Yes. No,
Okay.
the identity. So that is if you were to look at the command server, if you look at what this does, is it makes a new config and listens.
Okay.
That is the I
And that's a
want to
ZD call.
bind.
That's a
That's right.
ZD method. It's a method
Yep.
on the ZD class. Okay.
Right. So
So
now you
the
see I
identity still
made
has to ask to bind, and it
yep.
only will succeed if it has permission in the service policy.
Right. And so now I'm going to make an all dial policy. So you saw me make the bind policy up here. And so now my server should start. In fact, let's see if the server starts. This is what I expect to see. There it goes. Okay. No such host. Well, we have a minor problem with with the Express install. This should not be happening. And I know Jeff is on the line, so he can watch this. So, but this is okay. I can fix this real quick. I can just go to
You know what's wrong?
yeah. So it is telling me that SG3 Edge router does not exist because it doesn't. Express. So if I look at, let me show you what's wrong. We're going to take a detour, but that's all right. If we go to .ziti and we go to quickstart and we go to SG3 and we look at the SG3 Edge router.yaml, you'll see the advertise address.
This is a configuration file for the ZD router.
That's right. And so what this does is it says, hey, if you're an Edge client and you try to connect to me, you are supposed to dial
Yeah.
SG3 Edge router.
So the
But
identity can't resolve that.
that's right. That is the full problem. But I can fix that by going to Etsy hosts.
Okay. Yeah, just fake
Now
it.
you
Yeah.
shouldn't have to do this because I
It's
gotta
just because you're running it locally.
no no
If
no
we
no
write
no
a
no
quick
no
start,
no 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 no
right?
no. It's because there's a bug.
Oh, okay.
We'll fix the bug. What it should show you. Oh, in fact, you know what? I'm not going to fix it this way. I'm going to fix it by editing, not this file. I'm going to edit this file. I'll show you how you
Hmm.
fix it.
There you go. It just needs, this is an advertisement from the router. It's going to broadcast, hey, look at me.
So to fix it, I'm just going to use my host name, which is what it should have been in the first place.
Oh, okay. So
And then
it'll
I'm going to stop
resolve to like
all.
loopback or something.
That's right. Stop all edge routers and then start. That's edge router and PSZ again, and then go way up here till our go run. Here and run our go run main reflect. It should show me.
The
So this has
certificate's already been
ripple effects.
issued,
This has ripple
right?
effects. When the PKI was created, it was created with a sans that says SG3 edge
Yeah, I
router.
get it. So you need a
So,
new one. You need to re-enroll this router or recreate this router so it gets
well,
a
I'm going to
verifiable
edit.
server cert.
Well, I'm going to edit the quick start SG3 edge router.yaml. I'm going to find SG3 in here. Oh my goodness. I'm going to just go down like this. I'm going to make this after edge route. I'm going to put that back because that's important
Okay.
now. And now I'm going to go sudo vi etc hosts.
Just make that resolvable to the same listener.
Exactly. That's 127.0.0.1. And now, now it should work.
Now you
Fingers
need to,
crossed.
you
I
don't
got
need to
something
bounce
else
your
wrong.
router. It's because it's SG3 TAC
So,
edge TAC
so
router. It's
yeah,
still,
no,
oh,
that's okay.
you do need to bounce the router because you changed the
No.
config.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Good
You need to
point. Thank
restart
you.
all routers.
Yep, yep. Forgot I didn't do that.
And then it'll
Something else is wrong.
advertise.
Okay, good. Nope. There it
Yeah,
goes.
there we go.
Now it's connected. That's what we should see. Okay.
All right,
Well,
so
we're
that's your
almost there.
server app using one of the two identities you created,
Yep.
and you went and you created a blanket router policy, a blanket service policy, and now it should just work.
Yep.
That's the shortest path. Okay, create a three is create a service. Oh, we created a service. I forgot to mention that. Blanket router policy, blanket service policy.
Dash I.
Profit. Is that all that's left?
Let's see. Fail. Oh, nope. Guess what? We didn't make that dial policy. So
So you need
it
a
says
blanket dial policy, dial service policy, blanket bind service policy.
right.
But
If you
you only need. Do you also need to make a blanket service edge router policy?
already done that.
Okay.
The express install should do all that for you. So express install
Okay.
should have taken care of all this, but a couple of bugs. So gotta just fix this all. So now
Sure.
I made the bind policy and I was going to make the dial policy. And then I said, well, let's make sure the server starts. And then we had some problems and I forgot to finish making
There we
the
go.
all dial policy.
I think we're really close to having like a short checklist though, like a sanity check for any network.
Yeah. Now this should work. And hi
There it
there.
is.
I am a client.
There it
See,
is.
I read, hi there. I am a client. You
So
sent
at this moment, these two apps, the client and the server, they could be arguably
anywhere.
just about anywhere, like
Not just
without
about,
any
literally.
like and super secure from edge to edge with like double encryption and all of the power, all the superpowers of networking built right into the app using a I don't know if you'd call it stateless, but certainly like a no knowledge, no configuration kind of backplane, zero trust backplane. But those two apps can be anywhere, and they don't
For
need
sure.
firewall rules. They don't need
The only
VPNs. They don't
thing
need
that's
anything like
necessary,
that.
the singular thing that is required, other than the fact that you need an entire overlay network, right? Well, we'll take the overlay network as a given, but if you even have that, now I have too many windows open. If you even have that overlay network, there is still one thing that is very, very important. And if you go back to the OpenZiti doc, ziti.github.io, go to docs. The most important thing is you need one edge router, which is public you need one edge router that both of your clients can connect to. Because and it doesn't have to be the same one, they both need an edge router that they can
Right,
connect to. And then the magic is those edge routers need to be able to form a mesh either directly to each other or
right.
through an intermediary. So
Sure.
if I were to make a really quick PowerPoint that just shows that, I would do it. I would do it.
So if I sign up for like a partially or fully managed version of this through the NetFoundry Teams free tier, then is any of this short list of 5 things done for me? I guess you
If you're
could
on the
kind of
net, I mean the net foundry stuff is a whole different ball of wax. Like it does not do it, come on.
well, like the problem
It
of
does not do
having
everything
a
you need.
reachable edge router is becomes easier because I can just click to create one.
Well, yeah, but you have to
And,
have a
and
cloud account, and then you have to, well, no, actually, you have to create that edge router that will make it, and then I mean, but that's like let's leave the net foundry stuff out of this for unless we're gonna maybe we should quit now and maybe you and I can just keep talking. But um, you need an edge router which is addressable by your endpoints. I specifically am not saying public because if, let's say you were a telecom, right? I used to
Mhm.
work for a giant tier one telecom and you want to run Ziti on your internal network. I recommend it. I'll help you do it. Just do it. If you see this video and you're a telecom and you want to do that, let me know. I'll help you. But you own your whole IP address space. You can
Right.
install the controller on your network. And then Ken in whatever country you're in can connect to an edge router that's on your network, and then that edge router can connect to another edge router and another edge router, or just one, it doesn't matter. And then get to my machine, which can also connect to the same overlay network. That's literally all you need. But the simplest thing in terms of the internet is to put that thing in public. If you put that edge router out
Sure.
in the public, then that's all you need, one edge router. And that's why when you run the express install and you do it someplace public, like I did, with this EC2 instance that I have out here, that is the simplest way to do it. So right here, I could make Ken an identity right
Hmm.
now, deliver it to you, make my own, and do the exact same demo. And you could use your Reflect client to my Reflect server, just
Right.
like that. So to recap, to make this simple, you need one public edge router. That's the minimum you need.
Or reachable.
Both of your endpoints need to be able to reach that edge router. Then you need to make identities for each of those endpoints. Then you need to make a service. Then you need to make the two policies, the dial policy and the bind policy. And then you need to run the code or write your code. And that's it.
Okay.
Profit.
Okay.